We saw a little bit of miscontrol there with a bit of a later with as he moved in before Shroud was ready. Shroud was being researched. The drop in the main base could completely shut down. I was expecting lurkers in that drop, but there was no lurkers. No lurkers in the drop, at least that were on the right hand side, and Bjorn shut down that push, and then he recovered. That was when Bjorn recovered from being a little bit behind from the earlier economic damage. And it took a little bit longer there. It took a little bit longer for Young Yakov to take up into Broodlords. And even then, once he got there, he had a really hard time keeping up with Bjorn's trades, with his efficiency. GG, well played. With that, we're now getting into our fresh series. With that, Bjorn is the first player to make it through into the grand finals. And we're here to determine who will join him. Who will join him in those finals. It is going to be a best of 3 between our Terran and our Protoss player. One moment as I quickly try to set up. Un momento. Beautiful. Okay, spawning in the bottom hand corner. Bottom hand corner here at Persephone, we have the red Protoss player. We have the red Protoss representing Team Little Fairy. It is Shameless. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Terran player, the blue Terran himself. It is Percival from South Korea. Here we go. So we are getting into our next game. So we're getting into our fresh series. But again, so Bjorn, he had a really nice kind of like comeback or recovery in that last game. As we pointed out, Young Yakov, he did overextend one too many times, referring to his Hydra Doom drop into the main base, referring to the first failed Hydra assault at the third as well. Again, it was really aggressive, really assertive, and in the end, it did amount to nothing. It was unable to break the defensive line there, and Bjorn recovered in that game, able to turtle up on 4 bases, get a 5th, and build up into Mass Ghost. Meanwhile, we saw that Young Yakov, his Broodlord Infestor was a little bit lacking when it came to his positional play. We saw many times that the Broodlords were just, that the Infestors were a little bit too far back, were out of position, and you could see that Broodlords on their own, they do nothing. Like, Broodlords on their own, they're so vulnerable, they're so exposed, they need that support, otherwise they just get shut down hard by Mass Ghost. That's the reason why it's called Broodlord Infestor, and not just Broodlord, you know. But regardless, with that, GG, well played. Now we're getting to our fresh series, getting to our TvP, and so far we do have an economic opener out of Percival, Rax expand out of our Terran player, meanwhile Shameless opening up with his own standard opener as well. Let's go. Let us go. Just catching up in the chat. Yakov is getting super dangerous. I mean, we've seen Yakov beat Bjorn before. Like, that has happened. That was like, what, 3 weeks ago? 4 weeks ago? It was this year. Earlier this year, we have seen Yakov take down Bjorn, and it's typically been with these aggressive builds, right? In that last series, we spoke about it. We spoke about the Bane Bust that we saw, which did work against Bjorn, and on Tokamak, like, I can see that Hydra timing working as well. Remember, it was a crazy build going into that mass Hydra build off of a 4-base economy, but I believe the goal and where that really works is if Bjorn was out on the map. And remember, Bjorn, he pulled back home. Because there was like a Ling run by happening at the same time, Bjorn, he actually pulled back his army, so he wasn't caught out in the open, which would have changed everything. I feel like the game would have ended then and there if Bjorn was active on the map. But yeah, some very aggressive builds out of the Zerg. For now, we have our tech of choice. It's going to be a Blink-based opener, so Twilight Council into Blink for Shameless. How many gateways? I believe 2. Yeah, 2-gate Blink into a 3rd. Very greedy here by Shameless, and this is risky against Percival of all players. Percival, he has some killer TvP, by the way. Very killer TvP. Known for aggression, known for being very in the face of his opponent. Rarely do we see macro play out of Percival in this matchup, and we're building up into a committed Widowmine drop. So we're going for the quad drop. 4 Widowmines do move out. And Percival, he did scout the greedy build. So again, really fast 3rd base out of Shameless. Before gases, before Robo, before the 3rd gateway. And the pressure is on Percival to punish this. For now, opening up with a mine drop. Does open up. Drops into the main. So far, Shameless does react in time. Does react, does pull away. Oh. Baits up the mine shots. So far, nice defense. Oh, that's going to be 3 probe kills. And we have 1 more shot getting 4. 4 probes do go down, and 3 auto mines get saved. Very nice attack here by Percival. Very nice. As he can always go back in and go for another drop. Meanwhile, we're building up to a 3-1-1 stim timing, really fast stim, delayed tank production out of Percival, non-existent tanks as that is a reactor on the factory. So 0 tanks rushing into bio. But there's less reason to go into tanks because of the 2-gate opener. Like, again, there's barely any Blink Stalkers to speak of to harass and to apply pressure. So tanks are unnecessary. So building up the bio. Raven harasses on the way. And from here, we'll keep an eye on Percival. What we're looking for is 2 more Raxes. Does Percival throw down 2 more Raxes and turn this into a 2-base all-in, or does he throw down a 3rd CC and build up into a more macro game? We're waiting to see. As he's prioritizing those Marauders. Getting into Marine Marauder. Oh, also, if I haven't already, if you're in the chat, predictions. There we go. If you're in the chat, a little bit late, but it is Gamba time. Predictions are open. Place your bets on who you think will claim the series. Will this go the way of Shameless? Will this go the way of Percival? Honestly, I can see this going either way. Shameless, he is, I will say at this point, one of the best Protoss players in Europe. Would I pin Shameless above Geralt and Christiana right now? I would say he's comparable. Shameless, he has, I would say, he's had some really strong moments this year, for sure. Of course, went to Star Zagora. Was meant to go to Star Zagora, if you recall. I would say he's comparable, for now. I can't vote against Christiana, true. Shameless pokes in, Shameless pulls away. And Percival does expand. If you recall, we were waiting to see the Raxes. It was a thorough TC before the extra set of Raxes, so we have an economic build here by Percival. He's building up into the mid-game. He's getting into the mid-game. Stim is done. Now he's marauding around the map. Looking for pickoffs. Looking to have the Bay on the way. Bay is on the way. Shameless building up towards Colossus, but he's not ready yet. He's stuck with a gateway composition, and Shameless does have the smaller army. Oh, setting up with a surrounder. Okay. Does set up. Comes in from behind. Mine shots are going off. We have some decent connections. And Shameless does hold. From here, he should be able to hold on. Nice kiting, though, out of Percival. Kites back, cleans up all the Zealots. Ooh, and Shameless is exposed. Yeah, he's exposed. He cannot fight this head on. Not without Zealots. They're barely coming to reinforce. Whew. Shameless does barely hold on. It barely does hold. The Widowmine drop comes back in. Does unload 2 Widowmines just in time. No reaction. Oh! Oh my god. Brutal. No reaction here. 6 probes do go down. Brutal damage. Shameless is being pulled apart. The missile goes off. Now, one of the reasons why this defense was so brutal here is lack of splash damage, but it's on the way. Colossus production is well underway here. So Shameless, he can stabilize. But right now, momentum is in favor of Percival. Has that momentum. Oh. Here, Stim's in. Shameless trying to force him back home, but there's air supply. Yeah, there's plenty to defend. Shameless is just trying to build up. Neo still frames? I don't think that's intentional. I think that's meant to be +2. There we go. Okay. Does get cancelled. It's freaking out for a moment there. I was like, wait, what? So yeah, 2-2 on the way here for Percival. Now moving out. Does spot the base, and he should force a cancel. I'm hoping it's going to be a cancel, not a kill. Oh, gets in. There we go. Does foresight cancellation. Keeping Shameless on 4 bases. Shameless turns around. Open to catch the army. Percival, you can fight this head on. Catching another stalker. And he pulls away. Okay, he does pull away in time. Oh my god. 1 medevac falls. Decent catch there from Shameless. Gets a medevac, picks off a couple of marauders. And not bad. Back around, gets a Widowmine. First he does notice, he's like, hold on, how'd you see that? Catches the observer. And from here, the armies, they back off. They back off from each other. Shameless, his own 5th base was delayed, so late 5th base out of Shameless. Percival getting a 4th. I would say that Percival, he has the greater economy. Better economy here for Percival. He's keeping up, if not exceeding, when it comes to the army supply. And the pressure's on Shameless. Pressure's on.
Add-on complete.
Yes, the target firing. Yeah, getting 16 probe kills. I believe there was a Liberator towards one of the other bases as well. Yeah, towards the natural. So the Liberator did pop off. It was 2 Liberators even. Shameless is built up to 3 Colossi, and this is an okay army. The problem here is that, again, we're stuck with purely Colossus for splash damage. Ideally, in this kind of game state, you want Colossus into Disruptor or Colossus into Storm. With only 1, Percival, he just needs Vikings. And speaking of, he has plenty. Yeah, Vikings to engage, missile goes up. Brutal connection, and Shameless is getting cornered. He has to get the hell out of here. 1 Colossus goes out. He's trapped. No. Yeah, he's caught out in the open. Nice force fields. They delay, but every Colossus falls, and Shameless, he has nothing left. Gets completely caught out. His army crumbles, and Percival does snowball out of control. Snowball's out of control here. In the end, the economic opener of Shameless just wasn't quite worth it. He lost map control early. Splash damage was delayed. He never really got an army. He had a couple of Colossus, sure, but as we mentioned, like again, like on their own, they don't do much. And with that, Percival, he's done it. He's going for the split push, going for the 5th, going for the 3rd. Nexus goes down. And Shameless can't stop him. He's warping in whatever he can. Decent EMPs. EMPs pop up. So I'll say do get on top of the ghost at least. That's 3 ghosts going down. So it does catch a couple of ghosts, but outside of that arc. Outside of that, Percival cannot quite keep up. Sorry, I meant to say Shameless. Sorry, I was blanking out a little bit. Yeah, I'm on 3 hours of sleep, Pat. Yeah. Now we have Disruptors. Now we have Disruptors on the way. So Shameless, he's now incorporating some extra splash damage here, but the damage has been done. And it's too late because now we have Liberators. This is kind of the end goal of Terran, is to go into into Liberator production. Liberators are like the end goal. They're the ideal. They typically force out Skytoss in a longer, later game, but Shameless is crippled. So he's 1 step behind. Did they fix the female ghost supply bug? Yes. Did fix. I mean, you can do the math. Do the math. I believe it's fixed. Percival moves in. And you can see, like, the army supply and mineral supply does add up to the overall supply that they have. So the mass checks out. There he goes up. Oof. Does graze the army. Yeah, with that Percival, he does overwhelm, does break through. He's up all the zealots. Oof. And yeah, the disruptors, they really can't keep up. No! Thankfully, no friendly fire, but GG gets called. And with that Percival, he will take game number 1. He'll take a lead in the series. GG. Whew. GG, well played, does take a lead. Again, Shameless, he did have a really hard time in the mid game trying to keep up. We spoke earlier about how his Colossus production was delayed. We saw the Vikings popping off as well. He had a really brutal fight in the center as Vikings did flank and did shut down Shameless. GG. GG, well played. Again, he had built up towards that moment, got caught out of position, out in the open, and Percival did snowball out of control. GG. GG, well played. With that, Percival does take a lead in the series, and now we're getting into game number 2, and we'll see if Shameless can recover. We'll see if he can bounce back. I mean, I'm hoping for an ace match, but we'll see what map we load into, more importantly. We shall see. As game 2 is going to be on Magnetic North. Building armor overrated. Oh, sorry, underrated. True, true. So we're getting into game 2. This is going to be a much smaller map, or I say much smaller map. It's going to be a more aggressive map in the map pool, and we'll see who will favor on where that aggression does fall, where that aggression does lie. We have our own thoughts as we're getting into game 2 and spawning in the bottom hand corner of Magnetic North. We have the South Korean Terran player. We have the blue Terran representing himself, currently teamless. It is a Percival. Leading the series 1-0, and spawning in the top right hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the red Protoss player representing Team Little Fairy. It is Shameless. Here we go, and welcome one and all to Magnetic North. This is of course one of the TLMC21 maps and does favor more aggressive builds and aggressive styles, and we did expect that out of Percival in game 1. We didn't quite get that though. Percival, he was active, that is true, but he was still getting a 3rd and a 4th CC. He was still building up. We did not see an all-in. I will say that all-ins are going to be favored here on Magnetic North. I do favor all-ins, especially from the side of Terran on this map. We'll see if Percival does embrace that. We'll see if he does head in a different direction. Show us what you got. From here, once again, economic opener out of Percival, going racks expand. So economic start out of the Terran. Ooh, a little bit off center. Shaky start here out of our Terran player. Ay, ay, ay. Not like this. And there was nothing like denying him either. The probe was out of position. He wasn't there to block. So calm down, Percival. Calm down. Too much coffee in the morning, pack. So as we get into this, a nice start for Shameless. As we did have some wasted resources there. Go. Couldn't he just move it when it's built? I don't know what the math is like for that, but you're correct in that respect. It will take a little bit longer for it to lift and land than it is to just rebuild. But I believe that would be more efficient, yes, to lift and land instead of cancel. Here, we're building up. Do you have our 1-1-1 follow-up? Meanwhile, Stargate opener out of Shameless. Ooh, that is a bold move. That is a bold move here for Shameless. Going for the Stargate. I don't like this. So Stargate play, we spoke about this before, but it is a little bit more vulnerable here to aggressive builds and to all-ins. We typically see Stargate play on some larger maps like Maganatha, maps like Tokamak, sometimes Incorporeal as well. Going for this on Magnetic North is a bit of a bold move here from Shameless. Reaper heading into the main, he does get a full scout, does confirm the Stargate. It's a nice scout here by Percival. Widowmine should be getting in position, and Viking production has begun. So Widowmine's they get into the mineral line. We have one here in the main. Vikings are on the way, Cyclone as well. So far, so good. So far, so good. Third base not being taken. Immortal production has begun. Maybe really wanted that bunker on that spot. Actually, sorry, I just double checked something. So I don't know if you noticed. The math wasn't adding up, so I was a little bit confused what happened there. That wasn't a CC that was canceled. That's why there was the instant cancel, the instant rebuild. If you noticed, we have the Hellion, we have the Reaper, and we have the canceled building. That wasn't a CC. It was minus 37 minerals, right? It was a Rax. He actually threw down a Rax by accident, so that's why there was that cancellation. Sorry, I just double checked on the VOD. So if you notice, I did show the units lost tab, and it was only 37 minerals. I was like, wait, what? But it was a Rax, so that's what we had there. So wasn't misplaced, just the wrong building entirely. Ah, smudge. But regardless, here comes the early push. Now, if you recall, we did mention at the beginning of the game, going for a Stargate opener does leave you vulnerable to these early pushes, and this map does favor that style as well. So what do we have to work with? We have 5 Vikings, 2 tanks. Percival does push through the center, and it's going to be a tough hold here for Shameless. Charge is nowhere near being done. Can the tanks get within range? There's a scan. Tanks, oh. Try to move in. Observer does spot this. Percival playing it safe. Does leapfrog forward. At the same time, this will take longer. Does get 1 Phoenix, but we've bought enough time for a second Immortal, and Charge is almost done. Charge is almost complete. The longer this goes on, the better it's going to be for Shameless. This Percival, he is committed. Takes down the shield battery. Shield battery does go down. Tanks are slowly moving forward. Zealot taking him from behind. Here comes the surround, and he'll lose all the tanks. Yeah, every tank is going to go down. And I believe Shameless should hold here. Yeah, he does. He does hold on. Again, just took a little bit too long here to really get going. Vikings do land, they're true. Yeah, Vikings do land. Percival doesn't have enough. He takes down the Immortal. There's one left. One Immortal left. Warping does barely complete. Phoenix, they lift up the Vikings. Let's go. They lift up the Vikings, and with that Shameless, he cleans up the army. Down to 2 Vikings, down to 1. Yeah, 1 Viking left. Still very close as the final Immortal barely survives on 1 HP. 3 HP Immortal. He holds back. Ay, ay, ay. And that was very committed here from Percival. Now, thankfully, behind this 30 CT. There was a third command center, so he was building it behind this. Stim is now done. Ghost Academy's on the way. So Percival, he was teching up, but that was still a very committed push, and Percival, he plummets in supply. That was meant to break the third. That was meant to at least break the army. He failed to do so. And again, that was partially because it took so long, right? It took so long to really get going. Percival, he was so tentative with his tanks. Don't blame him. And now it's time to counterattack. Shameless, he has momentum. Wouldn't mind dropping to the natural. Shameless, does he react in time? He's pushing. Yeah, it does collapse in. Remember, there's no defensive tanks. Gets into the mineral line. Probes are going down. Late reaction. 8 probe kills. But he's going for the kill. He's going for the kill. He's going for the throats. Takes down all the SCVs. Pushing into the natural. That's going to be 14 dead SCVs. Ay, ay, ay. Archons are barely hanging on. Nice target firing. Gets one. Oof, gets one, gets 2 Archons. But here comes a massive warp in. And Shameless has done as we are going to the ace match. We're going to game 3, Pat. Let's go. GG gets called. Shameless overwhelms, and Shameless ties up the series. We are going to the ace match. GG. Whew, GG, well played. Again, Percival, he was very committed to his push, very committed to that tank Viking move out. Yes, Percival did expand behind it, but I mean, he was still very committed nonetheless. And he failed to break through, he failed to push into the third base. It was not worth it. He lost all the Vikings, lost all the tanks more importantly. And without those tanks, that defensive position back at home was that much weaker. GG. GG, well played. Oh, we are getting into game number 3, and we'll see how this story ends. See how this story ends here, as game 3 is going to be on Tokamak. Here we go. Wasn't eBay, it was a Rex. It was Rex. Yeah. It was the flank with the Zelton tanks that did it. It was buying enough time for Charge to finish. If you recall, Charge was not even halfway done when Percival, he was halfway across the map. But if you recall, he was very tentative to move in thanks to the Observer as well. Remember, there was an Observer covering the main army of Percival, which meant that whenever he tried to siege up, whenever he would move in position, move up, Shameless's army would respond in kind. So Shameless was always there to make sure the tanks could not freely siege. It took a long time for Percival to actually move in. It allowed Shameless not just finish Charge, but also to get the second Immortal as well. So technically, like, MVP Observer, to make sure that Shameless was able to ensure that Percival wasn't able to get a good position. He was delayed. GG. And with that, we're now getting into our next game. Spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Tokamak, we have the South Korean Terran player. We have the blue Terran being forced into the ace match. It is Percival. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the red Protoss player. The red Protoss representing Team Little Fairy. It is Shameless. Here we go. A real Phoenix first Justice Academy? No. It was a Stargate Phoenix opener. It was 5 Phoenixes, if you recall. Making 1 Phoenix Justice Academy is crazy. It's a crazy big investment, especially on a small map. But speaking of maps, we're loading into Tokamak. Tokamak is one of the larger maps in the map pool, second largest only to Maganatha, known for longer and later games. If you recall, we had a long late game between Bjorn and Young Yakov on this map. Did go to the late game, did end up with maxed out armies. I'm not saying that it has to lead there here, but that's kind of where the games do trend on Tokamak. Because that Percival, in my mind, is going to try to end the game a little bit earlier for now. Economic opener out of the Terran player, but Percival, he typically thrives in the more mid to, or I guess I should say mid game. Does thrive in the mid game. We'll see if Shameless can defend and survive until he can settle it, until he can really get comfortable and get up to a 4 base economy. We shall see. As Shameless did open up Zealot first. Bold move. You can see he was checking for proxies. So in Zealot first, checking for proxies. I don't blame him. Again, Percival has a reputation of being hyper aggressive. Shameless is aware of that. In the end, it does mean that this is a more inefficient start, and now we open up Stargate. Now, I am more fond of this here. As you remember, if you recall in the previous map, I was a little bit concerned about the Stargate opener just because you are vulnerable to all-ins and vulnerable to aggression, and Percival did commit, but despite that, wasn't quite enough to break Shameless. Despite the map, despite the build, Shameless was able to shut it down, was able to delay, was able to buy enough time to survive. Here on Tokamak, it should be a little bit easier to get away with Stargate play, as all-ins are even more deterred, even more lessened here on Tokamak. Longer rush distance by ground, more defensive setup, you have the high ground, you have the elevated positions here to defend, to engage as the defending player. As we do see Percival opening with a Widowmine drop, and Shameless, ooh, does open up, not Phoenix first, does open up Oracle first instead. Here we go. We'll see if Shameless does invest into an earlier Twilight Council. We'll keep an eye on the Protoss. If there is earlier Twilight Council. Now, typically, if we open Stargate, then go Twilight Council, this should be into charge. But because there's no Phoenixes, then there's a higher chance it's going to be Blink Stalkers. We'll see. Hellion goes down, the Oracle moves out across the map. Bearing in mind, there is no second Oracle. No second Oracle, so just one to harass. And this does mean that the upgrade on the Twilight Council is going to be heavily delayed. Heavily delayed. There's going to be a window in time where Percival doesn't have to worry about Blink, doesn't have to worry about charge, doesn't have to worry about that early upgrade, that early tech. Oracle moves in, does hit the main. Will pick up a couple of SCVs, Marines that are late to respond. Wouldn't mind dropping to the main base as well. So far, only getting 3 SCV kills. Not too much damage. And Shameless does react. Yeah, he does react in time, does pull away. And now we're entering a similar game state to last game, where we are going to Blink. But again, this is going to be delayed. This means that there's less of a map presence. And I'm curious to see if Percival goes for another early push. For now, he doesn't have tank production. There's the add-on swap into earlier Stim. So Stim is going to be on the way, +1 is going to be on the way, and we'll see if he does go for additional Raxes. Shameless is making use of that Stargate, going for the Phoenix. This is to hunt down the initial medevac. Do not worry about the drop. So far, we've got 3 Raxes. And again, there's an extended period of time here where Percival doesn't have to worry about harass. Outside of the Oracle, which does go down. Oh, that is not worth it for Shameless. Oracle does fall. Got 3 SCVs in total. So a better trade for the Terran. And do you see what I see? 2 more Raxes. 2 more Raxes on the way. No third TC yet. This is very committed play here on 2 bases. Going to Stim, going to Mass Marine, Mass Bio. And there's going to be a very strong Stim timing. Very strong Stim timing here for Percival. Now Shameless, he's got his 3rd base up and running. He's going for his Gateway Explosion. Shameless, he can shut this down. He needs to engage ahead of time though. It is crucial here that Shameless is active with these Stalkers and he delays the push and ideally does force the early siege as well. I mean, ideally catches a tank, which would be crazy. Phoenix doesn't confirm. The other important thing here with these extra racks is they're far behind. I should say they're far back, so they're harder to scout. Remember, there's no add-ons. Why? He has the option to pull the boys. 2 base all in. 2 base all in out of Percival. He can pull the boys with this. It's all or nothing. Charge is not even halfway done. +1 will finish in the middle of this fight. We're reinforcing with the Liberators. Yeah, it's all or nothing here. Now, the downside, as we mentioned before at the start of this game, is that all-ins are weaker on Tokamak. As you can see here, there's a lot of points of elevation, a lot of ways to slow this down, longer rush distance. First, a little bit of supply book, and there we go. We pull the boys. As we mentioned, did have the option to pull the boys. It's all or nothing for Percival. Either he kills Shameless or he dies trying. Shameless, oh, he gets caught out. Yeah, he gets caught. 1 Stalker does fall. Yeah, rough movement there from Shameless. Does get the Cyclone. Does force the early Stim. Does force out a Stim, but the tanks are getting within range. Yeah, they're getting within range. Charge is barely done in time. Nice split there with the Zealots. Getting on top of the SCVs with the tanks. They do siege up. Yeah, boys are being pulled. It's going to be a tough hold here for Shameless. Tank always here on the Stalkers. A lot of Stalkers go down. And can he get on top of the tanks? It looks like Percival, he has enough. Yeah, Percival, he's done it. He breaks through the main army. He barely does break through. Breaks down the third base. Sieging further in. We can see Shameless trying to catch reinforcements, but he already lost so many Stalkers. Yeah, Shameless lost too much. He lost too many Stalkers there in that first engage. Does get a tank, does get some Marines. But Percival, he's moving in. Does move in, does get on top of the Archhosts pylon. There were no defensive immortals either. And again, this is the risk you take when you go for Stargate play, right? Like when you open up Stargate, you are so vulnerable to these all-ins. Just because it delays everything. Cleans up all the Stalkers, cleans up the Zealots, and with that GG gets called. Percival, he will take the series 2-1. He'll advance on to the grand finals. GG. Whew. GG, well played, Percival. He will claim the series. Again, there is a reason why these Stargate openers are a little bit more rare nowadays. You do leave yourself vulnerable. They are risky to go for just because you're delaying your other tech. Likewise, especially with this style, there wasn't really anything to delay, to harass. You could definitely argue that, I mean, it all came into play. The Oracle got only 3 SCV kills, was not worth it in the end. Likewise, you saw Stalkers trying to engage, trying to delay, but also got caught in the center of the map as well. So brutal start there, brutal pickoffs in favor of Percival. With that, Percival does take it. GG. GG, well played. Got across the map, was able to siege up in time. And with that, he does advance on to the grand finals. We are heading over to the Korean server for those finals. Let's go. Exclamation mark. Be in the chat. Have a look at the back yourselves. We have our top 2 players here. Shout out to both Young Yakov and Shameless for making a series out of it. We did see ace matches in the semifinals, and we'll see if the grand finals can live up to that. See if we can live up to that here, as we do have Björn versus Percival in those finals. Let's go. Do need a moment to set up, but of course it's going to be best of 5. Best of 5 grand finals here between Björn and Percival. They have faced off in the past already. Quite often, and I will say, because Percival is so active in the online tournament scene, and because there are so many Terran players in the Korean scene, referring to Maru, Bunny, Kyor, Björn, Ryung, Gumiho, Korea's nowadays kind of land of Terran, because of that, Percival's TvT has been improving this year. Has been getting better and better. I still do favor Björn for sure, but we have seen Percival take it to players like Björn, Kyor, and Bunny in recent weeks, in recent months. Has been able to have more of a back and forth.